All right, everybody. This is kind of a new, I guess, I don't know if you call it project. Yeah, I guess you call it a project. It's basically going to be a series dealing with writing. I'm calling it the Armchair Expert's Guide to Writing. I was going to initially call it the Armchair Expert's Guide to Creativity, but I kind of wanted to focus on writing because that's what I'm more interested in. I'm not really doing anything related to visual arts or music, so better to just narrow it down to what I'm actually focusing on. And I'm, using the title Armchair Expert, just to, kind of poke fun at myself because I'm not a published author. I don't have any presence really online when it comes to writing or anything like that. So I'm not trying not to take myself too seriously. If I ever become published, I'll probably still keep the name, just as a little bit tongue in cheek. But basically, I'm just kind of tired of the online writing sites, message boards, and all that. They all seem to be full of people that pretty much just want other people to validate their creations. They're not really interested in reciprocating ideas. There's a lot of generic advice that probably makes up 80% of the content on these sites. It's just the same stupid questions with the same generic answers, and nobody seems to learn or know how to use a search function in order to get an answer that's been provided 5,000 times. They basically just want to throw out their ideas, be validated by other people, and probably never actually pursue, writing, as an actual, hobby in any serious way. It's like they come up with some ideas, they feel good because people think oh, you're so smart, and then they feel good about themselves, and then they go off and do something else, and they typically never make any progress or actually sit down and write consistently. They pretty much are toying with the notion or liking the idea of being an author, but aren't really serious about, going after it, and making it a reality. And also, I wanted and so I guess I should say, I want to, make this a resource for people that are so they, that may be wasting time on those sites as well. Try to just give some pretty much, basic kind of, I don't know, necessarily foolproof answers, but, just answers that cut through a lot of the bullshit, and kind of how to frame questions better, and to, if you're going to go on, these kind of sites, to get, the most out of, the least amount of time spent there. So yeah, hopefully I can cut down on people's time wasted on being on those writing sites, so they can actually get to writing. Because if you spend all day, on a Reddit writing forum, and no time writing, then you're kind of going ass backwards as far as trying to get to your goal. You can only spend so much time chatting up the same old shit before it just becomes redundant, and so hopefully I'll be able to keep some people from making the mistake of wasting a lot of their time on writing forums. Because unless you're networking or trying to get your name out there as a brand, or seriously interested in actually critiquing other people's works, and not merely just, being selfish and just having other people read your stuff, and then, having no time at all to read anybody else's or critique anybody else's, or if you're, unless you're trying to, start a writing group, seriously, or find someone to edit your work that's looking to provide that service. If there's not a clear focus in mind, and you're kind of just, sitting there, dilly-dallying and taking, large chunks of time out of your day to really, kind of not really get, any further than you were the day before, then probably better to avoid, dealing with those sites. And I'll provide, like I said, my armchair expert's opinion on all sorts of different topics. Because, like I said, I've gleaned a lot of I've spent a lot of time going, through these sites and trying to find, answers to my own questions, with, not all that much success, to the point where, you've kind of seen the online writing community kind of for what it is, as far as its value, as merely a means to get a better idea about writing in general, about storytelling, from people that are more new to it. Obviously, if you're a published author and you have your process and you're consistently writing every day and turning out a product, and you're obviously not going to need a lot of that kind of information, because you've already gotten to the point where you're consistently working your craft and producing something. So yeah, I mean, it's I like to discuss writing and the creative process and things like that, just because it's something that interests me, and it's kind of hard to do that on a forum, and with the same kind of conversational tone and I guess ability to get a lot of ideas out in a shorter amount of time to more people than if you can with a podcast or a video. And I'll probably end up making, doing some PowerPoint stuff to go along with the audio, so it's a visual component to the program as well, because I think that'll be more helpful and more people probably more interested in something that at least not that hasn't not an interactive component, but more of a component where you have to pay attention, and that kind of goes along and and adds an additional element to the information being disseminated, if you will. Because I think there's a lot of new authors or people that are just interested in dabbling in writing as a hobby, or world building as a hobby. They feel very lost, and I think a lot of them don't really know how to frame their questions or go about getting information, because they're so new to it. And I think I provide a little bit of knowledge and how to make better use of your time, kind of go about, the different elements of creativity and storytelling and so forth, and kind of cut through all the BS, because there's a lot of BS out there. There's a lot of just generic recycled answers and, comments that go around that pretty much, don't really further topics at all. They're just kind of someone's just, doesn't really want to take the time to understand what you're trying to get across, and in your questions. They're kind of like, yeah, just go write, generic answer. It happens a lot of time, and like I said, if that's all you're getting from your inquiries, then you're really wasting your time. Because there's a lot of the people that are on these forums that are writing are fairly narcissistic. They're pretty much there to kind of show their writing, and to kind of, like I said, get validation from it, and also use it, try to portray themselves as actually legitimate experts and all knowledgeable about writing, when they really haven't produced anything. So like I said, I'm not taking myself seriously in that aspect. I'm not a author with a publishing deal or anything like that. So I'm just trying to help out other people that are interested in getting into writing, either for just for fun, getting kind of those creative ideas out of your head onto the page, and like I said, hopefully remove some of the kind of the mystery and confusion that exists when it comes to a lot of subjects that have to do with writing, because it's not really that difficult in theory. It's not this, mysterious, thing that, only certain people are capable of accomplishing, because, you're either born with talent or you're not. It's like anything else. There's some people are drawn to it and have a better, initial, kind of start with it, that progresses a little bit faster, because maybe they have an affinity for it, and something you would call natural born talent. But I don't think it should be intimidating to anybody when it comes to actually trying to do it yourself. And like I said, I like talking about the topics, and hopefully some other people out there will find it of use. and and at least be able to manage their time better when using online forums, because it can be a huge time sink and an absolute waste of time if you're just kind of wading through all of the posts and threads on there, because most of it is really not of any value. There's a lot of people asking a lot of really stupid questions that really are wasting a lot of other people's time, because they don't, like I said, they don't either understand how to frame their questions properly, or use a search function to get to read through stuff that's got a million answers, though the same thing that covered what they're asking about. So anyway, that is the Armchair Expert's Guide to Writing, and I'll be kind of doing this, I don't know, weekly, or maybe more than once a week, depending on how many topics I feel like covering. But yeah. Like I said, I enjoy talking about it, even if I'm having a one-way conversation with me and myself and I. But anyway, I will talk to you all later in an upcoming video. And until then, take it easy, and hopefully you're getting some writing done. See ya, folks.